So where did this all came from?
Undeniably, cuisines such as afritada, caldereta, a thing called siesta, Simbangabi culture, the Filipino language itself, surnames such as Del Rosario are evident to foresee in today's time. To think, where did they came from? Did the Austronesian period conceptualize this? Or did it came from the Illuminati? Or did it come from the gods? Well, if you might be agreeing, these are not brought by these things. However, it was primarily brought by colonialism. Control by one power over a dependent area or her people is how colonialism is characterized. It happens when one country conquers and exploits another's population, even while imposing its own language and cultural values on the people.
In ancient times, empires like ancient Greece, ancient Rome, ancient Egypt, and Phoenicia practiced colonialism. From around 1550 BC onwards, both of these cultures expanded their boundaries into nearby and non-contiguous regions.
In order to increase their own power,
They formed colonies that drew on the physical and population resources of the people they conquered. For instance, countries Spain and Portugal competed for new territories in America, India, Africa, and Asia, and took over indigenous land.
now, what could their purpose be?
Foremost, colonial powers justified their conquest by claiming a legal and religious duty to take over indigenous peoples' land and culture. Conquering nations portray themselves as civilizing savage nations behaving in the best interest of those whose lands and peoples they oppressed. But what really happened is exploitation of natural resources by immigrants who benefited colonizers rather than local populations, local communities' way of life, and the growth of local societies were disrupted. This resulted in the loss of sovereignty and the right to direct their own destiny, participate in their own creation, and even conduct their own diplomacy and resource management.
Contrastingly, governments in colonial times invested in infrastructure and commerce, as well as spreading medical and technical knowledge. They sowed the seeds for democratic institutions and systems of government, in some cases by encouraging literacy and the implementation of Western human rights principles.
With colonial rule, some former colonies saw improvements in nutrition and health, and the colonial European settlement has been related to development gains.
If it weren't for Western cultures featuring technology and new ideas to countries like Philippines, the natives would still be throwing spears to birds in order to eat.
The introduction alone is a substantial gain for the life expectancy and living conditions for the natives.
The series of colonization experienced by a country attributed several impacts to the colonies. Historically, many countries have experienced such invasions that left experiences and beneficial marks.
The colonizers possessed the idea of power and enormous opportunities ahead of their quests. They eagerly concerned political, economic, religious, and social extendment of their expedition.